I don't know if you've heard of Gnosticism. It was a prevalent heresy during the time of the early church. It resurfaced in the 10th century in France among the Albigensians. I'm going to explain it to you, show you that it is present today in an unholy alliance of gay liberation and birth control, and then encourage you that God made marriage and having children holy. Gnosticism separated the physical world from the spiritual realm. Its followers taught that the physical world was evil and the spiritual world was good. We call this dualism as well. The Gnostics claimed extra knowledge, the Greek word gnosis, in order to do this. And when the heresy arose again in the 10th century, they were also known as the Cathars, from a word meaning pure. They claimed to be not only more knowledgeable than Orthodox Christians, but purer as well. So there was a moral superiority in Gnosticism which persists to this day. They said Jesus Christ, being God and of God and fundamentally good, could never be human. He was a spirit who only appeared to be human. Orthodox Christian theology says Jesus was fully God and fully man and is today. It was his humanity which enabled him to be the once-for-all perfect sacrifice. So there are deep theological implications if Jesus was only a spirit. You find the apostles, especially Paul and John, countering this early heresy. Anytime they say things like Jesus Christ has come in the flesh or in him was the fullness of the Godhead bodily, they're confronting the Gnostic heresy. But there are practical implications. Paul sets out some of their teaching in his first letter to Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 3. They were forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. I'm going to look at the first part of that verse right now and come back to the second part in my next Nanosermon. When Paul says they were forbidding to marry, he does not mean they'd set up a monastic rule. If people feel called to live in a single-sex community and serve the Lord, I may not understand that. It certainly would not do for me, but it isn't what the apostle means. No, the central plank of Gnosticism was that matter was evil. It followed that to bring a child into the world was a bad thing to do. That's why the Gnostics told their followers not to marry. It means not to procreate. Now you can see the parallels with gay liberation and with the birth controllers. The latter say there are too many people in the world. They dress it all up in high-minded apparent altruism about saving the planet. But really, they hate people. They're misanthropic, and they are wrong. God said, go forth and multiply. He's never said, hold on, there's too many of you. If you hear people say having babies is a bad thing to do, the Gnostics said it first. They said you should not bring new life into the world. But people have sexual urges. So sodomy was just fine, as that would not lead to new life. Now we have the link with gay liberation. Their slogan was, gay shows the way. And the way for them was uninhibited sexual satisfaction with no possibility of procreation. But aren't some gays having children, you ask? Well, firstly, the gays who claim to be starting a family are fooling themselves. Only one of the pair is the parent. Secondly, it's an attempt to normalise homosexuality, to show there are different sorts of families. But thirdly, the original gay liberation theme was to reject heterosexual norms of marriage, gender roles and procreation. Birth controllers and radical gays are the new Gnostics with an old heresy. God sanctified procreation in marriage and really did become one of us in Jesus. The two could not be more at odds. The Gnostics have a way of death. As for you, choose life in abundance.